Good morning sa ating lahat. Tara, basa na tayo nating libro guys. The Word in Other Words, Bible Diary 2023. 21 June 2025. Nandito na tayo sa page ng 1 August, Tuesday, St. Alphonsus, Liguori, open parenthesis, M, close parenthesis. Pakisabayan ako ng basa. 17th week in ordinary time, dot, white, comma, pace is 1. Yung walang librong ganito, sabayan nyo na lang ako. Pakisabayan nyo ako sa inyong Biblia. The word first reading, Exodus chapter 33 verse 7 to verse 11, chapter 34 verse 5 to verse 9, and verse 28. The tent which was called the meeting tent, Moses used to pitch at some distance away outside the camp. Anyone who wished to consult the Lord would go to this meeting tent outside the camp. Whenever Moses went out to the tent, the people would all rise and stand at the entrance of their own tents, watching Moses until he entered the tent. As Moses entered the tent, the column of cloud would come down and stand at its entrance while the Lord spoke with Moses. On seeing the column of cloud stand at the entrance of the tent, all the people would rise and worship at the entrance of their own tents. The Lord used to speak. Kasi guys, yung mga bahay nila nung araw is tent lang. Di ba nga, umalis sila sa Egypt. So, syempre wala po silang bahay na bato. Katulad ng sa atin ngayon. Sa generation natin. So, puro tent lang sila. The Lord used to speak to Moses face to face as one man speaks to another. Moses would then return to the camp, but his young assistant Joshua, son of Nun, would not move out of the tent. Having come down in a cloud, the Lord stood with him there and proclaimed his name, Lord. Thus the Lord paused before him and cried out, the Lord, a merciful and gracious God, is slow to anger and rich kindness and fidelity, continuing his kindness for 1,000 generations, and forgiving wickedness and crime and sin, yet not declaring the guilty guiltless, but punishing children and grandchildren to the third and fourth generation for their father's wickedness. Grabe naman. Sumpa ba? Hanggang fourth generation guys, yung parusa. Diba sa panahon natin ngayon, yung kasalanan ng ama, hindi kasalanan ng anak. Ganun ang batas natin ngayon. Moses at once bowed down to the ground in worship. Then he said, Moses at once bowed down to the ground in worship. Then he said, if I find favor with you, O Lord, do come along in our company. This is indeed a stiff-necked people, yet pardon our wickedness and sins and receive us as your own. So Moses stayed there with the Lord for 40 days and 40 nights without eating any food or drinking any water, and he wrote on the tablets the words of the covenant, the 10 commandments. Diba sabi ko sa inyo, 2 times siya pumunta doon sa bundok, 40 nights and 40 days. So ibig sabihin umabot ng 80. Kasi yung una niyang dalang tablet is nabasag yun dahil nga sumamba sila sa calf, yung gold calf. Kaya umakyat ulit siya, and then another 40 days and 40 nights. So, kung iisipin mo 80 days and 80 nights, kaya nyo yun, walang kain-kain. Gospel reading, Matthew. Kaya nga guys, isipin nyo na lang to si Moses. Diba nakakaya niya? Bakit ngayon? Hindi ka lang makakain ng isang meal, nagrereklamo ng gutom na. Huwag ganyan. Gospel reading, Matthew chapter 13 verse 35 to verse 43. Just as the weeds are collected now and burned up with fire, so will it be at the end of the age. Dismissing the crowds, Jesus went into the house. His disciples approached him and said, explain to us the parable of the weeds in the field. He said in reply, he who sows good seed is the Son of Man. The field is the world, the good seed the children of the kingdom, the weeds are the children of the evil one, and the enemy who sows them is the devil. The harvest is the end of the age, and the harvesters are angels. Just as weeds are collected and burned up with fire, so will it be at the end of the age. The Son of Man will send his angels, and they will collect out of his kingdom all who cause others to sin and all evildoers. They will throw them into the fiery furnace, where there will be wailing and grinding of teeth. Then the righteous will shine like the sun in the kingdom of their Father. Whoever has ears ought to hear. In other words, by Father Anthony Yinson. Y-N-Z-O-N. Paano nyo yan basahin, guys? By Father Anthony Yinson ko siya binasa. Yung Y. Hayaan nyo na. Spell ko na lang sa inyo, ha. Y-N-Z-O-N. SVD Christ the King Mission Seminary, Quezon City. Knock knock, who's there? Don't worry. This piece is not about one of the usual corny jokes we get to hit. Rather, it's an invitation to think back on the many times we got knocked over by the challenges of life. Knock knock, COVID, knock knock, tragedy, knock knock, betrayal, knock knock, consequences, knock knock, and then again knock knock, and then some more knock knock. Now who is still there? The faces we see who remain to be loyal, loving, supported, and helpful, cherish them forever, for the angels of God have now thrown the weeds into the fiery furnace. To August Wednesday, Saints Peter, Julian, Eymard, and Eusebius of Vercelli, 17th week in ordinary time, that green/white, P is 1. The word first reading, Exodus chapter 34, verse 29 to 35. As Moses came down from Mount Sinai with the 2 tablets of the commandments in his hands, he did not know that the skin of his face had become radiant while he conversed with the Lord. When Aaron then and the other Israelites saw Moses and noticed how radiant the skin of his face had become, they were afraid to come near him. Only after Moses called to them did Aaron and all the rulers of the community come back to him. Moses then spoke to them later on. All the Israelites came up to him, and he enjoined on them all that the Lord had told him in Mount Sinai. When he finished speaking with them, he put a veil over his face. Whenever Moses entered the presence of the Lord to converse with him, he removed the veil until he came out again. On coming out, he would tell the Israelites all that had been commanded. Then the Israelites would see that the skin of Moses' face was radiant, so he would again put the veil over his face until he went in to converse with the Lord. Gospel reading, Matthew chapter 13, verse 44 to verse 46. Jesus said to his disciples, "The kingdom of heaven is like a treasure buried in a field, which a person finds and hides again, and out of joy goes and sells all that he has and buys that field. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a merchant searching for fine pearls. When he finds a pearl of great prices, he goes and sells all that he has and buys it." In other words, by Father Hill Alejandria, SVD Catholic Trade, Manila, the parables of a treasure buried in the field and the pearl of great price illustrate knowing what is truly valuable that we must strive to acquire. When you know what you really want, you will give up and sacrifice everything to get it. A true Christian recognizes that entering the kingdom of God is the only objective of his life. Thus, he does set aside anything that would prevent him from achieving his objective. This may include material wealth, relationships, and even family. Oh, ang hirap na naman ilipat. This realization to lead some priests, nuns, and religious to leave behind home and family. For others, they give up promising careers that would have given them a comfortable life and the esteem of others. To give up material comforts is not easy, especially if one finds himself in a poor parish. Trying to live a simple life can be stressful and a tough challenge to one's commitment. When the ultimate goal is very clear in one's mind, I think this is God's grace in us. God's grace gives us the strength to overcome our weaknesses and remain faithful to our vocation. These people have discovered that no amount of wealth, fame, or human attachments can equal the ultimate goal, the true treasure of God's kingdom. Bukas na itong 3 August Thursday, 17th week in ordinary time, that Queen, Pieces 1. Bukas na yan guys. Bye!